The market was loud and crowded, filled with the noise of alien voices and the smell of strange foods. Stalls lined the stone streets, their tables stacked with glowing fruits, weapons made from metals unknown to Earth, and trinkets from forgotten worlds. Merchants shouted in different tongues, bargaining, laughing, and calling buyers to come closer. To any stranger, it looked like a normal alien market, alive and busy. But that day, something unusual happened, something that froze the crowd and made even the boldest merchants fall silent. From behind one of the stalls guarded by two reptilian traders with sharp teeth, a figure was pushed into the open. At first she looked like just another prisoner to be sold, but the sight of her made the crowd gasp. She was not a beast, not a servant, not a simple slave. She was a woman, an alien woman, with striking beauty that no chains could hide. Her long black hair fell down her shoulders, her eyes burned like fire, and even though her wrists were bound, she carried herself with a dignity that made her seem like a queen among beggars. The merchants laughed as they dragged her forward. $1, one of them shouted, raising a clawed hand. Only $1 for this wild creature. His voice was loud, mocking, as if the very idea of selling her for such a low price was part of some cruel joke. The crowd burst into laughter. They pointed at her, sneered at her torn clothing, and mocked her helplessness. To them, she was worthless, just another alien slave stripped of value. But not everyone laughed. At the edge of the crowd stood a human man. He was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a simple jacket that carried dust from long travels. Unlike the others, he did not join in the mockery. He only watched, his eyes fixed on the woman. His face showed no smile, no pity, only quiet thought. While the aliens jeered, he studied her with the steady gaze of someone who saw more than the surface. The merchants grew impatient. Come on. She's wild, dangerous, and useless. A curse to whoever keeps her. $1 and she is yours. The second trader shoved her forward, making her stumble to her knees. Dust rose around her, but she lifted her chin, refusing to bow her head. Even in chains, she glared at the crowd with defiance. The laughter grew louder. The human stepped forward. His boots struck the stone ground with a heavy sound, and the noise of the crowd began to quiet. He reached into his pocket, and slowly he pulled out a single coin. It was small, shining faintly under the market sunlight. The aliens blinked, confused. Was he serious? Would a human truly pay $1 for this worthless woman? Gasps rose as he dropped the coin into the merchant's hand. The sound of metal hitting claw was sharp, echoing like thunder in the silence. The merchants laughed again, but this time uneasily. The crowd began to whisper. A human bought her? For what reason? What use could he have for her? The alien woman's eyes widened slightly. For the first time she looked at him, not as another face in the laughing crowd, but as someone who had chosen differently. Her lips parted as if she wanted to speak, but no words came out. She only stared at him with a mix of shock and something else. Something closer to hope. The human bent down and offered his hand. His voice was calm, steady, and low enough that only she could hear. Stand up, he said. You're free now. The merchants barked with laughter. Free? She will never be free. She is cursed, worthless, dangerous. You'll regret wasting even $1. But their voices sounded hollow, forced, as if they were trying to convince themselves. The woman placed her chained hand in his. Slowly, with effort, she rose to her feet. The crowd shifted nervously, watching this strange act unfold. No one in the galaxy gave away money for nothing. No one bought a slave to set them free. The aliens had seen wars, battles, and betrayals, but this was something else. The human said nothing more. He turned and began to walk away, guiding her through the narrow path of the marketplace. People stepped aside, some sneering, some whispering, others too stunned to react. The sound of his boots and her quiet steps echoed between the wooden stalls. With each step, the marketplace grew quieter, as if the entire street held its breath. Behind them, one merchant spat on the ground. A fool, he muttered. Humans, always fools. They don't know what they've done. But deep in the crowd, some eyes did not laugh. Some faces turned serious, watching the woman with recognition. They saw not a slave, not a worthless prize, but something far more dangerous, something that should never have been allowed to fall into human hands. The human did not look back. He only led her forward, his grip steady, his decision final. For $1, he had changed her fate. But neither of them knew then that he had also changed the fate of the galaxy. And as they left the marketplace, whispers spread like wildfire. Some called him mad, others called him brave. But all agreed on one thing: the human's choice had set something in motion, and nothing would ever be the same again. The alien marketplace faded behind them, its noise swallowed by the winding alleys of the city. The human walked with steady steps, his hand still holding the chain that bound the alien woman's wrists. He did not drag her like the merchants had. Instead, he guided her as though she was someone worth walking beside. The crowd's whispers echoed in her ears, but his silence weighed even heavier. Who was this man? Why had he chosen her when no one else would? For a long time, she said nothing. Her pride burned inside her chest, mixed with confusion and suspicion. She had been bought and sold before, but never like this. Never for a price so insulting it made her blood boil. $1. It was meant to humiliate her, to prove she was nothing. Yet this human had paid it without hesitation. And worse, he had spoken a word she had not heard in years. Free. Finally, as they reached a quiet street where the neon lights of alien signs flickered dimly, she stopped walking. Her sharp eyes narrowed, and her voice, though hoarse from silence, cut through the air. "Why?" she asked. "Why waste even a coin on me?" The man turned. His face was calm, unreadable, but his eyes carried a weight that unsettled her. "Because you were not worthless," he said simply. His voice was low, steady, like stone. "They saw chains, I saw something else." She stared at him, her jaw tightening. His words were too direct, too certain. "You know nothing about me," she hissed. "You think you've saved me, but you may have just doomed yourself." His lips curved into the faintest shadow of a smile. "Maybe. But sometimes one coin is enough to change everything." The silence between them stretched. She looked away, hiding the spark of unease and curiosity that flickered inside her. She had been betrayed before, and kindness was often a mask for cruelty. Still, there was something different about him. He had not gloated, had not mocked, had not looked at her like property. He had only looked as though he was waiting for something she could not yet see. They kept walking until the streets opened into a docking bay. Starships lined the platforms, each belonging to different travelers. The human led her to a small but sturdy vessel, marked with the worn symbol of Earth's colonies. It was no grand battleship, no luxury cruiser, just a weathered starship built for travel and survival. Yet to her surprise, it gleamed with care, as if every bolt and plate had been repaired by the man himself. He pressed a panel and the hatch opened. "Get in," he said. Her eyes narrowed. "You think I will obey you? You think you bought a servant for a single coin?" He shook his head slowly. "No, I didn't buy a servant. I bought a chance, for both of us. You can walk away or you can step inside and decide for yourself." Her chains rattled as she shifted. Freedom? That word again. Could he truly mean it? The galaxy had stripped her of everything. Her home, her family, her title, her power. She had been hunted, captured, and sold as if she were nothing. And now this man offered her a choice? It sounded like madness. Her pride urged her to turn and walk away. Yet her instincts whispered otherwise. There was something in his voice, an edge of certainty that spoke of danger, but also of destiny. Slowly, with careful steps, she entered the ship. Inside, the vessel was small, but alive. Screens glowed softly, tools hung in neat order, and the faint hum of the engines pulsed through the floor. She could tell at once this was no slave ship. It was a machine built with purpose. And in that moment, a realization struck her. This man was not a fool. He was a soldier, or perhaps something more. He closed the hatch behind them. "Sit," he said, gesturing to a chair near the console. She did, her eyes scanning the cockpit. Her chains clinked against the metal armrest. Finally, she asked again, quieter this time. "Why me?" He leaned against the console, arms crossed, eyes locked on her. "Because I know what it feels like," he said. "To be underestimated, to be told you are nothing. Humans have heard those words for centuries from aliens like them. But when I saw you, I saw the same fire. You're not broken, you're waiting. For something." His words hit her harder than she wanted to admit. For years, she had hidden her truth, buried her past beneath silence. Yet somehow this stranger had seen it in her eyes. Her throat tightened, but she forced her voice to stay firm. "And if what I'm waiting for destroys you?" He leaned closer, his voice almost a whisper. "Then at least I chose my coin wisely." Her heart pounded. She should have laughed, should have cursed him for his arrogance. But instead, for the first time in years, she felt something dangerous stir inside her. Not anger, not despair, but hope. The engines roared as the ship prepared for launch. The alien woman looked through the viewport as the city began to shrink beneath them. Somewhere in the shadows of the galaxy, she knew her enemies were still watching, still hunting. If they discovered she was free, and worse, in the company of a human, they would come. But as the stars stretched into streaks of light, she glanced at the man beside her. He was calm, steady, unshaken. And for the first time she wondered if her fate had not been bought, but chosen. The ship glided through space, stars stretching into long silver lines as the hyperdrive carried them away from the alien city. For hours, the human said nothing. He focused on the controls, steady and calm, while the alien woman sat in silence, her chains still resting on her wrists. The quiet hum of the engines filled the air, but beneath that silence lay questions. Questions she could no longer keep inside. Finally she spoke, her voice low but sharp. "Do you even know what you've done?" The man glanced at her but gave no answer. His silence made her press harder. "You think you saved me with your coin. You think you showed mercy. But you don't understand. I am not just another slave. I am hunted. Entire fleets have been sent to destroy me. By buying me, you've tied yourself to my fate, and it will destroy you." He turned back to the controls, his expression unreadable. "Maybe. Or maybe you're not the curse they told me you were." Her eyes flashed with anger. "You speak as if you know me." She leaned forward, chains rattling. "Do you want the truth, human? Do you want to know what you've brought aboard your ship?" The man leaned back in his chair, folding his arms. "Tell me." Her chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. For a moment she looked away as if struggling with herself. She had spent years hiding, years pretending to be nothing more than a broken prisoner. But here, on this ship, with this human's steady gaze on her, she felt the weight of silence breaking. "My name," she began slowly, "is not the one they gave me in the market. I am Serenia of the Kalith Dominion, the last daughter of a dynasty that once ruled half the outer stars." The human raised an eyebrow, but did not interrupt. She continued, her voice growing colder. "My family was slaughtered. My people were enslaved. And I was spared only because the cowards feared what I carried in my blood. The Kalith line was no ordinary bloodline. We were bound to ancient machines, weapons that answered only to us. Machines so powerful they could level worlds. That is why they sold me cheap. They feared me, yet they dared not kill me. Better to humiliate me, to strip me of worth, to make me a joke, than to risk the storm I might bring." Her words fell heavy into the cockpit. The hum of the engine seemed louder now, filling the silence between them. The man's eyes narrowed slightly. "And you still have this power? This connection to machines?" Her lips curved into something between a smile and a snarl. "It never leaves. Even in chains I can feel it, like a whisper at the edge of my mind. The weapons of my people lie dormant across forgotten worlds, waiting for the blood of Kalith to call them. That is why they will come for me. Not to buy me, not to sell me, to end me, to erase the last spark before the fire reignites. The human leaned forward, his face calm but intense. Then why tell me this? You could have stayed silent. You could have let me think you were just another prisoner. She looked at him, her eyes sharp like blades. Because you are already marked. By buying me, you painted a target on your back. They will hunt you now too. Better you know the truth before their fleets find us. For a long time, the man did not move. His eyes stayed on hers, steady, unreadable. Then slowly he nodded. Good, he said simply, her brow furrowed. Good? Do you not understand what I told you? They will kill you for this. Maybe, he said, but at least now I know why I chose you. She blinked, stunned. Chose me? You think this was your choice? You think you control what happens next? He leaned back, his voice calm but certain. I don't need control. I need purpose, and I think you've just given me one. Her heart raced. She had seen arrogance before, kings who thought themselves gods, warlords who believed they could not fall. But this man was not arrogant. He was steady, dangerous in a different way. His strength came not from boasting but from something quieter, a certainty that unsettled even her. The silence stretched again, but this time it was heavier, charged, with something new. For the first time in years, she felt the edge of hope and the sharper edge of fear. She turned her gaze to the stars. You don't know what you've stepped into, human. The empires that fear me, they will not hesitate. They will bring fleets, armies, weapons the size of moons, and when they come, you will wish you had left me in that marketplace. He looked at her, his expression calm, his eyes unshaken. We'll see. The engines roared louder as the ship surged deeper into the dark sea of stars. But in the shadows of space, a signal pulsed across distant systems. It carried her name, her bloodline, her presence, and far away, in the halls of alien empires, old enemies stirred. The human had spent $1, but the cost of his choice was about to rise beyond measure. Far away in the cold halls of alien empires, the signal spread like fire. Across star maps, her name appeared. Serenia of the Kalith, last daughter of a fallen dynasty, the one they had mocked as worthless, sold for only a coin, was now free. And worse, she was with a human. In the Dominion's council chambers, alien lords stared at the glowing reports. Their voices shook with both fear and anger. She should have been erased, one hissed. We should have ended her bloodline when we had the chance. Another slammed a clawed hand against the table. Now she is in human hands. Do you not see what this means? They will awaken the old machines. Humanity will use her power, and then nothing in this galaxy will stop them. The order went out quickly, faster than light carried by secret channels. Armadas stirred from their slumber. Warships shaped like knives, shadows and beasts began to move from hidden ports. Fleets gathered, silent and massive, all for one purpose: to find the human and destroy him before the woman could speak the old codes. Back on the small human ship, Serenia sat in the cockpit, staring at the stars. Her chains were gone now, cut by the human's tools, but her hands still felt heavy with their memory. She watched him as he worked on the navigation system. He was calm, too calm, and it unsettled her. Did he not understand what would come next? They will come, she said finally. Her voice was cold, steady. Not one ship, not 10. Entire fleets. They fear me, but they fear you more. Because you chose me. The man did not look up from the console. Let them come. Her lips tightened. His calm confidence was almost infuriating. Do you not understand? These empires have ruled for centuries. They command armies that have crushed entire worlds. You cannot stand against them. Now he looked up, his gaze steady on hers. Humanity has been told the same for centuries, and yet we are still here. Her chest tightened. His words echoed with something dangerous, something that made her pulse quicken. He did not boast. He did not threaten. He only spoke as if it were a fact carved in stone. But deep inside, she knew he was right to some degree. Humanity had always been underestimated. To the great empires, humans were once called fragile, weak, incapable of surviving beyond their world. Yet humans had spread across the stars, building colonies, fleets, and alliances. They had survived where others had perished. And now they had her. She rose from her chair and moved to the viewport. Beyond the glass, the stars looked calm, but she felt the storm gathering in the distance. She could almost sense it. The vibrations of fleets preparing for war, the whispers of captains waiting for orders. The galaxy was moving, and it was moving toward them. The man walked up beside her. "Tell me about these machines," he said, quietly. Her breath caught. Even now she had kept the truth guarded. But with each passing moment, she felt the weight of silence break further. "They are not ships," she said slowly. "They are titans, weapons forged before memory, powered by cores that burn like stars. They sleep in hidden worlds, waiting for the blood of Kalith to call them awake." "And you can call them?" he asked. Her throat tightened. "Yes, but if I do, it will begin a war that will not end until whole systems burn." He nodded slowly. "Then maybe it is time." She turned sharply, eyes flashing. "You speak as though you want this war." "No," he said. "But I've seen what happens when humans are underestimated. They laughed at us, they dismissed us. If they want to test what happens when humanity stands with a queen of fire, then let them learn." Her heart pounded. She should have felt fear. Instead, she felt something else, a pull she could not explain. This human was not like others. He did not see her as a burden, nor as a prize. He saw her as a weapon, as an ally, as part of something greater. And perhaps he was right. The stars shifted suddenly as the sensors lit up. Warnings flared across the cockpit. Serenya's blood ran cold. Dozens of ships were appearing from hyperspace, their signatures glowing like daggers on the display. They had found them already. The man tightened his grip on the controls, his jaw set, his eyes sharp. "They're fast," he muttered. "Faster than I thought." Serenya's hands trembled, not from fear, but from memory. She could feel it now, in her blood, in her bones, the machines calling to her, the old power stirring as if it knew war was coming. She looked at him. "If you want to live, you must trust me. Release my power." He turned to her, his voice calm even as enemy ships closed in. "Then show me, Serenya of the Kalith. Show me why they fear you." And in that moment, as the alien fleets locked weapons and prepared to strike, the galaxy's storm truly began. The void outside the human ship exploded into light. Alien cruisers unfolded from hyperspace, their black hulls stretching like predators in the dark. Their weapons glowed, aimed at a single target, one human vessel carrying one woman they wanted erased. Serenya gripped the edge of her chair, her chest rising with sharp breaths. She had warned him. She had told him fleets would come. And now, they had. The human, however, did not flinch. His hands moved across the controls, steady as stone. "They think they've trapped us," he said, voice calm. "They're wrong." The first wave of plasma fire tore across the darkness, searing toward them. The ship shuddered as he pulled hard on the controls, weaving through the barrage. Sparks lit the cabin, alarms blared, but his eyes never wavered. Serenya watched him, her heart pounding, not from fear, but from disbelief. He fought as though he had done this 100 times before. "Who are you?" she whispered. His answer was short. "A soldier of Earth." The words sank into her like iron. Earth. That small world the galaxy had mocked for centuries. The planet. Outsiders called weak, fragile, unworthy of power. Yet here he was, facing fleets with nothing but a single ship, and not breaking. More warships closed in, their weapons glowing brighter. Serenia felt it again, the pull in her blood, the whisper of ancient machines waiting to awaken. Her fists tightened. "Release me," she said. The human spared her a glance. "You said if I do, war will follow." Her eyes blazed with fire. "War is already here." He hesitated only a moment, then reached down and struck the locks on her restraints. The chains fell away, clattering onto the steel floor. Serenia rose to her full height, and for the first time since her capture, her presence filled the room like a storm. She closed her eyes, reaching into the fire of her bloodline. Somewhere far beyond, in the ruins of forgotten worlds, engines, older than empires, stirred. The alien ships prepared for a killing blow, but suddenly the stars trembled. A shadow appeared on the horizon, massive and silent like a god rising from the deep. Then another, and another. Colossal war machines, dormant for centuries, now awakened by Serenia's call. Their metal skin glowed with fire, their cannons hummed with energy that bent the void itself. The fleets froze, their captains screaming in disbelief. Serenia's voice was steady as she whispered, "They have awakened." But even as the alien commanders scrambled to retreat, another light pierced the dark. New signals appeared on the radar, dozens, then hundreds. Sleek, angular ships with the crest of Earth carved into their steel. Humanity's warfleet had arrived, the cockpit filled with their signals, their voices sharp and disciplined. "This is Admiral Kessler of the United Terran Defense. We have your coordinates. Hold position. We'll clear your sky." Serenia's breath caught as the view lit up. She had seen alien fleets before, but this was different. Earth's warships did not look like the Empire's grand, decorated vessels. They were sharp, efficient, built for survival and destruction. Each moved with purpose, formations tight, like blades cutting through the dark. And when their weapons fired, the void itself seemed to shake. Alien cruisers tried to stand, but Earth's fleet tore into them with fury. Missiles streaked like fire across the stars. Railguns spat molten metal, and beams of energy cut ships in half. Serenia watched, stunned, as one by one the mighty ships of the Dominion fell. She had always known humans were underestimated, but she had not known they could fight like this. The human at her side, calm, steady, guided his ship into formation with the larger fleet. His voice cut through the chaos. "You said they feared you. Now they'll fear us both." Serenia turned her gaze back to the viewport. Alien wreckage drifted in the dark, fires burning across shattered hulls. But the battle was far from over. More ships were coming. Entire empires would rise against what they had just seen. Yet, for the first time in years, she felt no despair. She felt power, not only from the titans she had awakened, but from the humans now standing with her. In the silence between blasts of cannon fire, a realization struck her. Her enemies had made a mistake. They thought she was the danger, but the true storm was humanity itself. And now the galaxy would finally learn why humans were feared. The battlefield drifted in silence. Broken warships spun slowly through the void, their flames dying in the cold of space. The alien fleets that had sworn to crush one human ship were gone, shattered, scattered, erased. Where once they had advanced, with arrogance, now only wreckage and silence remained. Serenia stood at the viewport, her chest rising with deep breaths. The glow of the awakened titans, the colossal machines bound to her bloodline, still shimmered across distant stars. They hovered like gods, their cannons quiet now, but their presence undeniable. The galaxy had seen them return, and more terrifying than the titans was the sight of Earth's fleet fighting at their side. The human sat in the pilot's chair, calm as always, his hands resting on the console. He did not cheer. He did not boast. He only watched the destruction fade into the black. His silence carried more weight than any victory speech. Serenia turned to him. Her voice was steady, but beneath it ran a tremor of awe. "Do you understand what you've done? What we've done?" He looked at her, his eyes unwavering. "Yes, we've shown them." Her gaze sharpened. "We've shown them too much. The empires will not forgive this. They will come again, stronger, in greater numbers. Then we'll be ready, he said simply. Those words echoed inside her. For so long, she had lived as prey, hunted, cornered, broken. But this human, with nothing more than a single coin and unshaken resolve, had turned prey into predator. He had turned silence into thunder. For the first time in years, Serenia did not feel like the last remnant of a dead empire. She felt like the beginning of something new. Across the stars, word spread quickly. Traders whispered in markets. Soldiers muttered in barracks. Leaders raged in their council chambers. One story carried through every corner of the galaxy. A human had bought an alien woman for $1, and that choice had burned fleets, awakened titans, and shattered the balance of power. Some called it madness. Others called it destiny. But all agreed on one thing. Humanity was no longer a race to be dismissed. They had fought side by side with a queen of fire, and they had won. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy changed. Alien rulers sent spies, desperate to learn how much power Earth now commanded. Armies hesitated at their borders, unsure if another fleet of humans waited beyond the stars. Old alliances trembled, and enemies who had once laughed at Earth's weakness now whispered its name with fear. And Serenia. She was no longer the slave mocked in chains. She was a symbol. The empires had tried to erase her with humiliation, but instead, she rose higher than they ever imagined. By standing beside a human, she had become something more powerful than a queen. She had become a legend. One evening aboard the human ship, she sat with him in the quiet of the cockpit. The stars passed silently around them, endless and calm after weeks of war. She looked at him, studying his steady face. "Why did you do it?" she asked softly. "Why spend even a coin on me when you could have walked away?" He didn't look at her at first. His eyes stayed on the stars, his voice quiet but firm. "Because no one else would. Because sometimes the smallest choice matters most. And because I knew you weren't worthless. You were waiting. Just like humanity was waiting." Her throat tightened. She had lived her life surrounded by liars, traitors, and tyrants. But this man's words carried no deception, only truth. She realized then what truly frightened the galaxy. It was not just the titans she commanded. It was not even Earth's warships. It was the bond between them, the human and the alien woman who had been sold for $1. A bond that could not be bought, could not be broken, and could not be defeated. The galaxy had changed forever, not because of weapons, but because of that one act of defiance. As the ship drifted toward new stars, Serenia whispered to herself, almost too soft to hear, "A coin bought me freedom, but you gave me a future." And though the galaxy trembled with fear, the human only leaned back in his chair, his eyes calm, his voice certain. The war has only just begun. The stars stretched before them, endless and waiting. The legend of the dollar, the warship, and the fury of humanity had begun its first chapter, and the galaxy would never be the same again.